Today we're actually talking about second-hand spiraling. All right? And that's how to care for someone in crisis without slipping into chaos ourselves. So it's kind of answering those questions. What do we do to help? How can we encourage? How can we bless one another? How can we be a part of something bigger in that sense? And so everybody at some point is going to find themselves in an uncomfortable position of a spiraling season, right? Some of you may be in one right now. Some of you have been through them in the past. But we all face spiraling seasons, and they all look different. But we're also probably going to perhaps find ourselves in a season when everything is good, right? We have those moments when everything is just good. It's a great time. But sometimes even in those seasons, we might find ourselves, maybe the person that we love, someone in our family, whatnot, that is struggling, and they may be in their own spiraling season. And we may stand there in those moments, unsure of how to help, how to make a difference. So what I'm saying is, you're going to be in the spiral yourself, or you're going to be helping someone else in the spiral without hopefully getting sucked up by the tornado. Does that make sense? Because we all go through seasons all at different times, and they all look drastically different. How many of you have ever had a front row seat to someone else's spiraling? Nobody? Okay, a couple head nods. Yeah. Some of us have seen it. We've stood there and we watched, and it's like a train wreck that you're like, how do we hit the brakes? And you're not even on the train. When you think about your own spiraling seasons, what comes to your mind? Maybe you think about a time when, you were just getting ready to go somewhere, but you were delayed because you just couldn't get the tears to stop. Or maybe you spent a week in bed because the grief was just too much. Maybe you had an injury that just put a kink into everything. There are all kinds of reasons why we spiral. We may have daily spirals, and then there are massive spirals, right? Things that encompass your entire life. Sometimes it's just a bad day, and we know tomorrow is a new one. But sometimes those daily spirals, they become the last straw. You can't take anymore. Paul said in the Bible, there are things that come upon me daily. He gives off this list of big things like being shipwrecked, beaten with rods, stoned by the Jews, etc. There's so many things. That's just a short piece of the list, right? But there's also other stuff that just comes upon him daily. In 1 Thessalonians 2:8, he says this, because we loved you so much, we were delighted to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well. This is something really beautiful that Paul is saying here. He's saying, of course, I preach and of course the important thing is giving you scripture and telling you about God and letting you know who He is. But he said, I didn't just preach. I was also willing to impart to you my own life, our own lives. Paul is saying that he and his team, people that he had with him, they gave their lives to them. He says, we were living like the Bible says, living epistles, our life on display, what God had done in and through us. And in Romans 7, Paul says, who shall help me, wretched man that I am? He was in a spiral. Paul wrote the book of Romans and was a major character in Acts. He wrote Ephesians, and he had spiraling seasons. He says it got so bad that he despaired of life itself. How bad does it have to get for the guy that wrote Romans 8:28 to not want to be alive? Why did he share that? Because he didn't just want to give the gospel. He wanted to give his own life as well, his experiences, because there's power in sharing our story. There's power in our testimony. That's actually how we defeat the devils, through the blood of Jesus and the word of our testimony. So in a season of spiraling, what are some things that help? All right, so hopefully these are going to be some practical things. You probably already have ideas of these, but it's good to reinforce those in our own lives. And so the first one here is relational proximity. Relational proximity. When we have a relationship with someone and we see they're in a spiraling season, those are the moments when we could say, hey, take a breath. I'm here. It's going to be okay. It may not be right now, but it's going to be, right? It's going to be okay. Hey, don't make big decisions right now in the middle of this storm. Let's just stay steady. Have you ever done that? Made a big decision when you shouldn't have because you were like, woo, that was a season. Josh and I just had a conversation last night with someone who was in that very situation. They'd made a big decision in a time of grief, and it needed to be just a moment of steady. It's the nature of someone in a storm to only see the storm, right? When the wind is ripping, things are flying, it's hard to see that outside of that tornado, outside of that wind, is blue skies. Maybe it's just a physical touch from somebody, a hand on a shoulder, a hug. Just that physical presence of just being there. Just listening and being able to kind of emote and just share in the struggling. A lot of times we ask, well, what can I do? What can I do to help right now? A lot of times the answer is, I don't know, right? Because that's the truth in the moment. We don't know what would help when someone asks us that. But it's those little things that are just reminding us that someone's right there. And that's our job. When we're trying to help someone in a spiral, if we say, how can I help, and they don't know, that means we just stay. We just be a physical presence. We let them know they're not alone in this. And maybe at some point, they'll have something we can do. Sometimes it's just taking note of the struggle. It's not always easy to notice because, we're all kinds of oblivious sometimes to other people's struggles, right? That's why a lot of times we say be kind because you have no idea what's going on with the person next to you. Because we don't. We try to hide that a lot of times. But sometimes we are just oblivious. Sometimes we try to logic someone out of an emotional situation. But you can't logic someone out of an emotional roller coaster. You can't logic someone out of panic. And you can't shortcut grief with pep talks. But your presence will go a lot further than you think. And when we do notice, sometimes it just means that we affirm the struggle. We realize that it's real. Those feelings are real. Maybe in those moments we suggest them to go take a shower or nap or have a snack, right? Like God did with Elijah. Have a snack, take a nap, take another nap, right? Maybe it's permission to feel the way we do. Permission to take care of themselves. And it seems weird to say that, but a lot of times we feel like, especially as parents, as spouses, as leaders, coworkers, whatever that looks like, whatever situation you may be spiraling in, it doesn't necessarily have to be in your family, it could be with your job or something else. But whatever your position is, sometimes it's hard for us to feel like we can take a step back and just feel what we're feeling. We feel like it's not valid. And so sometimes we need to have that permission. We need someone to tell us it's okay. Maybe it's helping them get to a doctor, a counselor, some other physical means of assistance. Something else that helps is trying to have some pre-spiraling conversations. Have you ever done that with somebody where you're in a conversation, you've got something going on, you have like a big interview or something like that, and you start trying to think about questions they might ask or information they might want to know, and so you start rehearsing in your head. Okay, if they ask this, I'm going to say, right? Or maybe you got to tell somebody some bad news or something like that, and so you rehearse in your head how it's going to go down. And so this is the same situation. Sometimes you can pre-spiral conversations in the moments of good. Learning vocabulary that's helpful. May actually be using words like, I need help. We hate those words. I need help. Especially those that are opposed, like you're not, or you don't, or you never. It's saying, I need your help with, or can you? How about cheat codes? Cheat codes is saying things like, don't try to fix this. I just need to talk out loud. Because we love to try to fix things with the people we love. That is a huge tendency among married men, is to want to fix something that's happening in their family, to fix something happening with their spouse. That's the instinct. We want to fix it. We do that with our kids. We want to fix a problem. We want to fix a relationship. We want to fix something that's going on, but sometimes they just need to vent. Sometimes they have to walk through it. But it's trying to remember those cheat codes for another time so they don't have to say it again. To know that if they come asking or acting like this, maybe just give them a minute. Let's just see. What are some things we shouldn't do? When we're spiraling, or when we're trying to help someone spiraling but we start slipping, we shouldn't push through it on our own. We think that's the easier thing to do most of the time. But the thing is, don't be afraid to wake someone up. Don't be afraid to make that phone call in the middle of the night. Don't be afraid to shove them out of the bed and get them up. Don't be afraid of how they may respond. There's vulnerability, but there's also strength in that. Sharing in that suffering together by literally carrying part of the load. In Galatians, we're told to bear one another's burdens, and in doing so, fulfill the law of Christ. That doesn't mean we let others carry their pain alone. It means we show up and we sit in the mess and we stay through the tears. We can literally make someone's burden seem lighter to them just by being there. The other thing we shouldn't do is hold on to the plate. Sometimes we have to step back and take things off of the plate. We run out of bandwidth, so having someone step in for a little while is helpful. It's like putting on your own oxygen mask before you put on someone else's. When we start running out of oxygen, it's detrimental. And I have an example video for you to see. So this is some fighter pilots that are doing some training to show just how hypoxia works, how quickly it happens. Trying to train them to remember that if they're in a situation like this, how can they get out of it? What signs to recognize? It may be a little harder to hear. You might want to turn this one down, Josh. But try to pay attention to what's happening.
And as you feel your symptoms, go ahead and let us know where they are.
6 of spades. I feel really good right now.
So the two beside him, they have oxygen on. They're in a chamber where the oxygen has been sucked out. He does not have his oxygen on. So his role is to pick up cards, tell them what it is, follow the signals.
I feel like that tingling in my toes and in my toes.
What was the last card?
Four of spades. Tingling in the toes right now.
Look at that card again. I don't know how it's going.
Four of spades.
What is that for?
Four of spades. Four of spades.
You sure? What is that card for?
What are you feeling right now, number 14?
Five of spades. Five of spades.
What are you feeling, sir?
Four of spades. Four of spades.
What is it? What's your symptoms, sir?
What are you feeling, number 14?
Four of spades. Four of spades.
What's your symptoms, sir?
Four of spades. Four of spades right now.
What did you do to drive this aircraft? What card is that, sir?
This is four of spades.
So what did you do to drive this aircraft?
Four of spades. Four of spades right now.
Can you do it right now, sir?
Sure.
So what would you do if you were flying like this in the aircraft?
What would you do right now, sir, if you was in an aircraft? 14, sir.
So what would you do with your regulators? People are going to die. Hey, what would you do with your regulators?
Go ahead and clean those regulators, sir.
Gang mode, your regulator.
Hey, you don't get a call and die. Gang with your regulator.
14, sir. Go ahead and gang load. 14, sir.
Good, you don't do it up to the side.
Watch what he does now.
Are you sure that's not going to sleep? That's Jack Davis.
Okay, sir, you can stop now.
Okay, did y'all see what happened there? As he got more and more hypoxic, he had no idea what was going on. All he could say was four spades. And he was changing cards every single time. He had no idea. And when they said gang load, that's the sign, that's the call sign to make sure your mask is tight, that you're getting the oxygen you need. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And what's funny is after they do these trainings like this, there's all kinds of them you can watch, and it's quite interesting. They do this for FAA pilots and stuff like that as well. But they'll go through a situation like this, and afterward, they'll say, I don't even remember you asking me this. I don't even remember this stuff. They're clearly still awake, but they literally can't save their life. Sometimes when we are watching someone spiral, that may be where they're at. Where the oxygen is gone, they have become hypoxic, and they have no idea how to help themselves. You notice there were guys right there, they were pressing the buttons and telling him like they were trying to assist him, but they had to physically step in and put his mask on him. Sometimes God uses us to be that mask for someone else, to be that assistant, to help push them in the right direction. If we're leading our families, our co-workers, or other situations like that, we have to be healthy. We have to set boundaries. What happens if you're both spiraling? If you're in that spiral and they're in that spiral too, what happens? This is what you need to do. You share together and watch God. It may come out of a moment when someone says, I need you, and you say, I have nothing to give, because it's gone as well. That's a moment when you both realize that you're going through it together. The scariest thing about that may feel like it's going to be two galaxies colliding. Kind of picturing like a big bang, like, oh no, two spirals, what's going to happen? But when we have nothing, God has it all. Jesus said to Paul, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness. God can make a way when there is no way. His grace fills the gaps. His strength will hold both up. His peace will cover what you can't carry alone. And here's a visual for this fear. This is a picture that the Hubble came up with not too long ago. It looks like two galaxies are going to collide, right? It looks like they are colliding in that. This is called a galactic crash, is what it would be. It's two galaxies colliding and crashing. It looks like these are going to smash together, like that's what's happening, but in this case, they're actually still a whole lot further apart than we realize. And what happens is that you have stars that are so far apart, and so when we ask the question and wonder if there will be a terrible explosion, the answer is no. No stars would ever likely touch each other. They would eventually just merge together, and in the process, planets and moons, they get moved around because, gravitational changes, orbits would change, and sometimes even thousands of new stars are born. And so instead of an explosion, by God's grace, they merge and new stars are born. And so when we're in a season of spiraling and also trying to help someone else that may be in a season of spiraling, when we don't know what's going to happen, and we look around and we know that things are going to get rearranged, moved around, but new life is coming. So just take a big breath and realize that the God of wonders beyond our galaxy, that He knows our name. He loves us. He knows the struggle that we're in. He knows the person that we care for. He loves them more than we can love them. He loves your husband, your wife, your daughter, your mother, your sister-in-law, your boss. He loves them so much more than we can. And He cares about those that are spiraling so much more than we can. And listen, we can't fix them, but we don't need to. That's God's job. And so instead, we come alongside, we help put oxygen on, and we speak life. We speak life. Today, as we close, what I want us to do is I want you to get in groups of 3. I want you to mix yourselves up, get in groups of 3, and pray over each other. Find out if there's a spiral happening, how you can pray, how you can help, how you can assist with oxygen. And what that might look like. But go ahead, get in groups of 3, pray over each other, and then we'll sing our closing song together. I was going to say, someone don't make Keith move. Y'all are cheating now. I see y'all. Y'all all just like squished together. Go ahead, mix it up. Mix it up a little bit more. There you go. There you go. And this can be a bigger group up here if you want to. So ask each other, is there something going on that's like a spiral? Something that is weighing on your mind. Something that is heavy to carry. John, you ready?
It's going really good. I got one more test left. I already took English. Got math. I'm not good in English. Yeah, I'm good in math and science. Yeah. He's really good in science. I'm taking Fish and Wildlife at HCC next semester. Yeah. It's an online class though. Did you?
Yeah.
Next Thursday.
okay. If you're still catching up or finding out what the spiral is, you can keep doing that as well. But I want us to remember that we should always be speaking life to one another, trying to help put the oxygen on, trying to help guide and steer, like, hey, God has got you. We just have to walk.